Sandy. To get started tonight, I want to share a story with you that I had with my wife over the weekend. We went shopping, and I don't know about you guys, when I shop for clothes, I like to take my wife because she's a better taste of what looks good on me than I do. Well, we went into the Men's Warehouse on Sunday, and I tried on some pants. And when I put these pants on thinking they were going to fit, I was feeling pretty good about myself because I thought I had lost a ton of weight. Well, unbeknownst to me, when I put these pants on, they didn't fit very well. But the salesperson came up to me and said, "You look great." Well, I knew that I did not look great because my belly was hanging over those pants in a way that looked horrible. And at that point, something happened between me and the relationship with that salesperson. Anybody have any idea what happened? I lost trust of the guy. And I told that to my wife. I go, this guy's just trying to sell me pants. You know, I want to get out of these pants. I want to find something that fits. And so we did. And I trusted her judgment because I trust my wife's judgment more than I did this guy's. Doggone salespeople, they're all the same way. Well, let me tell you, in sales, the hardest thing to really do is to go out and make that cold call. Because what you have to do is you have to go out and you have to establish a rapport with somebody that you really don't know. Now, as you get prepared to go out and do a cold call, one of the most important things you need to do, in my opinion and my experience, is to do some research ahead of time. We're going to do a role play here in a little bit, and the role play is going to take place down in Newport Beach at the Marriott Villas. That's kind of near and dear to my wife's heart, and we used to go down there quite a bit. But it's important that we know what goes on there so that I can go in as a photographer, and that's what we're going to do tonight, and we're going to introduce what we're capable of doing as photographers to support the Marriott Villas in the many activities that they have. Now, I have an idea of what they might be doing, but I really need to get into it more in depth and find out if my talents are really as good as I think they are, and then to determine whether or not they would be willing to use me and pay me to be able to take pictures of the events at their facility. And as we go through this, we're going to talk about it at the end, about why it's so important that we do certain key things. Now, I'm not going to tell you all of those key things because I want you to think about it towards the end and say, hey, this is what you did, this is what you didn't do, and some of the things I'm going to do wrong intentionally, because I want you to try and pick up on those things. And understand that, again, in a cold call, the most important thing a salesperson can do is not sell, but to do what? To listen, absolutely. So what we want to do tonight is we're going to learn how to listen, but before we can listen, what do we need to do? Anybody? Jose? Yeah, you got to ask questions. Now, it's horrible when you walk into somebody's office and you ask a question and they go, yeah, yeah, I hate my job. Yeah, we take pictures. It's, yep, we have these guys that work with us. And it drives you nuts, and so you've got to ask questions in the way that you don't get those yes and no answers. And you've got to find ways of drawing them in and then drawing them out. You want them to talk. Now, what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a trip to the Marriott real quick, and we're going to visit with Phil Ponder. He is the Director of Entertainment and Social Services at Marriott. Phil, it's good to have you here tonight. Thank you for coming, man.
What's your name again? What'd you say your name was?
I'm Kevin. I'm with Kevin David Studios.
Kevin David Studios.
You know, if you do that, I'll never be able to take a picture again. You just broke my arm. But it's good to have you here.
Would you mind if I just grab
Absolutely. Let's both grab one. Let's both grab one.
grab a chair and David Kevin?
Actually, Phil, Kevin David is really not my name. It's Kevin Moffett. My middle name is David, and that's kind of funny. I chose to use Kevin David because Moffett just sounds like you muffed it. So I don't use my last name. I use Kevin David Studios.
Do you mind if I take a few notes here?
Absolutely.
Now,
Just good ones.
What was it that you muffed?
My wife is here. She'll tell you I muff a lot.
Do you have a pin, by the way?
You do.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're set.
I'm just going to sit back here and What do you do again?
Okay, now, Phil, the reason I've come in today is, yes, I'm a photographer. I've been doing it for a long time.
Photographer.
I'm a photographer. And one of the...
You don't mind if I write that down there?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, go ahead.
In fact, you know something, to save you some effort, let me give you one of my cards. Kevin David Studios. And here's a little brochure and a card that tells you a little bit about what we want to do. But as we go in today, Phil, I want you to, we'll take a look at some other
Can I ask
things.
a question?
You bet.
You handed me this card here. Does this indicate that you stand on your head to take your...
I will do anything. Flip the card over there, Phil.
Oh, you don't want me to...
There you go, Phil.
Oh, okay.
There you go, Phil.
Oh, okay.
Well, Phil, tell me a little bit about what you do here.
What do I do here? I coordinate the entertainment events that go on here at the what hotel was it again? The Marriott?
The Marriott Hotel? Yes.
I'm the director.
And how long have you been doing that? It's been a while,
I've
hasn't
been doing it. You know, I lived in Huntington Beach for 31 years. And I was here when they opened this place up. And I've been chasing all these people out of here that come to, they crash the weddings. You wouldn't believe it, and come in to eat. If you're, can you imagine?
I can imagine that. We take pictures of those guys doing it all the time. It's exciting.
You know, here's some other things that we do. We have executive training sessions. Are
Cool.
you familiar with that?
Absolutely. In fact, you know, some of the things that we like to do in those executive training sessions is really be sure that we get not only video shots and feeds of what's going on, but we also like to be sure that there's some still shots that people can take back and use. Executive shooting is absolutely exciting.
You shoot executives.
We shoot executives
That's good.
every chance
Okay.
we get, absolutely.
Let's see. I'll get those a little bit later. We have company practices.
You have
Parties.
company practices and parties, so you practice
Right.
to party.
Exactly.
Well, let me tell you, what do you
What
do at
companies
these parties?
Have you practiced with?
Well, we've
Or
done...
do you practice? Are you professional or do you practice?
You know, any good photographer is constantly practicing so that they can get better. When I'm out on the job, Phil, let me tell you, when you're doing a wedding, for example, and I know you have a lot of weddings here, I golf. And one of the things that's really nice about golf is you can get up to the tee, and my son was teasing me because the other day we were golfing and I hit the ball and it went into the water. In golf, you can go back and grab that ball out of the water. You may take a hit, but there you go. Absolutely, and you can go hit it again. But let me tell you, in the experiences that is a hard ball. My experience has been, we cannot hit the water in the ball, Phil. We've got to hit the target every time. We have to not par the course, but we've got to be 10 under par every time we shoot an event, because these are things that you can't shoot over again. Can you imagine if we went to one of your weddings, Phil, and something went wrong with one of my cameras and we missed a bunch of pictures, and I said, hey, let's do the wedding over again. Can we do the wedding over again? Anybody here? We'll start from 6 o'clock and we'll do it till midnight again, tomorrow night. What would happen, Phil?
We'd start over tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.
No, I doubt it. I'd probably get sued. So, Phil, what we do is we really take a lot of pride in being sure, number one, that we're pre-set up. We want to be sure that everything is absolutely ready. We test the lighting. We want to be sure that it's correct. But you know, one of the most important things I try and do with my team is we walk into the event and we try to be at least a half an hour early. We set the cameras down and we go in and we visit with the people that are there. We want to find out what they're like. We want to get the feel of the personalities, whether it's a wedding, if it's an executive party. You know, executives, when they get a little drunk, they're fun, and they're fun to take pictures of, and so we can have a lot of fun with that, right?
I've been keynote speaker before on the 19th hole of the golf tournament. I know it. I know it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, can you imagine, though, if we can capture those moments, what can we do with those down the road? And what can you do with them here at the Marriott?
What can I do with them?
What does it do to your credibility at the Marriott with these executives that come here?
When they're all soused up and you're taking their picture,
Your job is to do what?
make sure they get home safely.
Do you
Make
want-
sure that bad pictures don't go in and get posted on the internet.
What,
I mean, that's a,
what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? Is that what you're trying to say?
or what happens in the Marriott stays in the Marriott.
Yeah. I have a number one rule, Phil. If the clothes start coming off, I leave. Now, Phil, let me ask you something real quick in closing before we move on. I'd like to come back and visit with you again and show you some of the things that we can do. We've got our website. I want you to take a look at that, some of the pictures that we've done. And you know, it's something I have a passion for. I love it. I enjoy it. But more importantly, I like to see the results that come with you. The feeling and satisfaction that you get in years from now, looking back at these photographs and saying, I remember that. That was really a great experience. Whether it's the executive party, the party by the pool, whether it's the wedding, whether it's just a family get-together. Whatever it may be, we want to be there. And one of the most important things to me is we want to be invisible. You notice I'm dressed in black tonight? Black is a color that is great for photographers because we blend in, we disappear. My job is to disappear and capture moments. I don't want to be seen. Phil, can we schedule a time to come back and visit, say in about a week? I'd love to do that with you.
Well, let me see if I can summarize this whole thing real quick, just for my own.
Absolutely.
Special occasion pictures you will enjoy looking at year after year after year. Guaranteed. Is that your motto?
It is. And thanks to a really good friend, we helped develop that, Phil.
You know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you one of these.
Thank you. Thank you. No, we really do. We take pride in it, and we will do what you want. But our focus is to be sure that your needs are met. Phil, let's get together. Can we get together next Wednesday afternoon at 2, same time?
Sounds good.
Okay, I'll meet you there.
Yeah, we'll get together.
All right.
You're familiar with our golf course next door, of course. But
Absolutely.
Are you familiar with Pelican Hills?
Very much so.
Love that course.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, we can talk on the golf course.
Exactly.
You're paying.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My friends, it's important when you go into a cold call that you listen and find out what they're about. And not everybody's as animated as Phil. You know, Phil likes to talk almost too much, but we love you, Phil. And it's a great opportunity to learn. As you go in, the most important thing you can do is establish trust and credibility right out of the chute. If you go in and tell somebody that they look good in pants when they don't, you've lost them. The most important thing you can do when you make that cold call, again, is to be honest. And remember this, you are not their friend. And you won't be for a long, long time. In business relationships, you have good acquaintances. And maybe in time, 5–10% of those relationships will become good friends. But as a general rule, they're business relationships. Do everything that you can to develop a good, solid business relationship, and it starts with the cold call. And it ends with a sale, and it continues on and on and on for many, many years, as long as you can remember that one thing. I will do everything I can to be honest, true, and faithful in what I do, and I will give it my best.